ಇದು ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಗರ್ವನ್ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಆಫ್
I wonder if there is a point where this understanding becomes something which is irreversible. Because currently doubts may come, or new teaching that may contradict this teaching, and at some point this understanding in a way can be adopt new beliefs and new ideas. So either a point when this is irreversible, or and how do you know when this moment arrives?
So if you share, this understanding sounds reasonable and true, then even though there's a doubt may come in many aspects, we can relate in a correct way. Then if you are able to correct this understanding with the other philosophy or anything, then you will find some relationship. You will not find any contradiction. Some place you will find the relationship. But if you doubt the understanding itself, then some misleading point will be there. So we should not doubt our understanding. Our understanding is real, but we may feel some contradiction with the other school of thought and other thing. But when you do not have any doubt about our understanding, soon we can find out the real relationship between our understanding and the other school of thought. Because in the basic level, every philosophy is related with each other. But in the superficial level alone, some variation may be there. But in the deeper level, all philosophies are one.
So it's a matter of conviction, knowing that this is true, and then everything falls into this.
But if you, because of this understanding, we can test the functioning of our mind. We can very easily relax from the pressing struggle. Because some struggling, we may have some agony or any problem. If you do not understand this idea of flowing everything without any resistance, the agony will sustain, it will take many time, very long time for this disappearance. But when we understand like this, very soon we can be relieved from the pressing problems.
Mm-hmm.
So thereby we can test the understanding. And this is the test stone where we can understand ourselves, we can testify the reality of the understanding.
Even the testing itself is an interference in the flow?
Flow is not disturbed because we have to understand and confirm this understanding. Then only the understanding will be a conclusive understanding. So we have to conclude, and the understanding must be a conclusive understanding. Then we can confirm. So because of the confirmation that the understanding is okay, then it will act on its own.
And the confirmation is by seeing how long I still attach to a problem and how much burden I still have in the day-to-day life, or
not necessary. Really the understanding, what is the kind of understanding? Because the understanding, simple understanding that whether we have any work in our psychological world or not, that alone is the deciding factor.
Mm-hmm.
So other school of thought or any other thing, everybody give you some work in the psychological world. So really they mean no work, but instead of that they may apparently suggest some work in the psychological world. But here we understand no work is there. So in spite of our understanding, some work may happen, but it is the unconscious happening. But we should not mind the unconscious happening of work. Psychological work may happen. For example, when we have fear or sorrow, naturally we will have unconscious resistance to the sorrow and fear, but it doesn't matter. But consciously what we are doing, that alone is the matter. But here, consciously we have the understanding that no work is needed. Whatever comes will go away naturally. Then we are not disturbing the understanding consciously. So we need not worry about the unconscious disturbance.
We need to act and we need to do. Is it just a level between just a stepstone, just for a thing to happen spontaneously? Like, is it only for now we say that for external issues we need to act, because from other tradition the message is that there is nobody who doing neither psychologically or externally, and here we say that for the external world we need to treat it as we do it, as if we do it. So is it just for the time being, this artificial differentiate?
So here, the real world is the external world, alone is the real world. The psychological world is a illusory world. So in the illusory world we have no work. In the real world, permanently there must be work. So we cannot dismiss the real world. Real world is the real world, we cannot dismiss it. But we can dismiss the psychological world. Psychological world is an illusory world. If you understand it is an illusory world, the matter is solved. But even though you dismiss the psychological world as illusory, but it will not go away. It will be there, but you need not worry about that. For example, whenever you driving a car in a hot sunny time, on the road you may feel some water. But when you go near the water, it will disappear. Actually, you will find out it is a mirage. The mirage will look like water. But once you find it is a mirage, then you don't mind it is water. But even though you understand it is a mirage, the mirage will still continue. The understanding will not dismiss the mirage itself. Mirage will be there, but you don't react to the mirage. You will take this is mirage. Even though it looks like water, there will not be any water at all. So you will have an understanding like this. So in this way, your psychological structure will have many messages, many images like that. But you will understand, no, in spite of the messages, there is no work to correct itself. But at the same time, you can make use of the images to the external world. So the real world is the external world. For that, you can make use of the images or anything comes in the psychological world. But we need not enter into the psychological and make it correct there. So correction is needed in the external world. No correction is needed in the psychological world.
So you mean for the external world, I need these images and this concept that the psychological mind creates, and there is a me that acts as in the external world.
Everything is good. You can use the me, the emotion, everything you can use to the external world. So if there is no emotion, you cannot act. So emotion is needed to act in the external world also. But if it is related to the external world, we can make use of the emotions, the me, everything we can make use of the related to the external world. But there is no, we did not create the, we did not take the importance of the me to deal with the psychological world. That is different.
But isn't it also true that even in the external world, everything is automatic? Really, the way that we respond to a situation is also automatic according to our conditioning and everything else. Even in the external world, there isn't a me, really.
So external world, somebody says the external world is also automatic. That is not automatic. Everybody contributes some work. So unless we do not do anything, it will not function.
No, but it happens. But I mean, to me, it seems to happen automatically. Like driving the motorbike is an automatic process. There doesn't have to be a me to drive it.
So psychologically it happens automatically, but physically we will have some work.
No, but it's only the psychological that gives an idea of me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Without the psychology, there is no idea of me.
Without psychology, no idea. No idea
Exactly,
of me.
nothing.
Me is belong to the psychology.
Exactly, yeah. So then there's just kind of action and reaction taking place in the world, but there's no me that does it.
So the me is purely psychological. Even though it is related to the external world, the me is always psychological. But we can use the me to deal with the external world. But we should not use the me to deal with the me.
Last few days since we talked. Kind of a process that a lot of things that I didn't relate to the psychological suddenly become clear. This is psychological commentary of the mind, and more thing like put to this whole system of psychological, which is just in a way look at as you suggest, as a dream or as something which there's nothing real about it and nothing to do about it. But it seems to be a process that of this understanding brings more and more of this what before I gave much more importance to this psychological, and then importance is being lost. Would you say that this process is because you don't usually you don't say it's a process, it's just an understanding and that's it. But can you say something about this?
So before we come to a conclusion that we have no work in the psychological world, we may reason out why it is so. Why we should not do any act within ourselves. We can find out many reasons, many theories, many philosophy, everything we can thereby we can come to a conclusion. After coming to a conclusion, then afterwards no work is there. You need not always verify whether we are doing properly, whether we are following the philosophy accurately. We need not worry about that. So when we understand no work is there, we can simply take everything as happening in the psychological world. Whatever comes, let it happen in the psychological world. So our concern must be only in the external world. So we have to turn our face towards the external world. We should not turn our face whether everything is going on according to the philosophy, according to the find out. We need not verify all the times. So when we often verify how I am functioning, then we are directing our face against the psychological world. So we need not always keep our face towards the psychological world. We have to keep our face only towards the external world. We need not face the psychological world. Before coming to a conclusion, we can inquire in many ways and find out. After finding out, we need not worry about it. There is no necessity to execute any philosophy. So no philosophy is needed. So here we come to a conclusion, no work is needed there. So when there is no work is needed, then why should we face again and again something may happen in a good way or bad way? What is the necessity? Whatever it happens in a good way or bad way, let it be happening, let it be natural happening. So, but at the same time, it will not disturb the natural world, because we are interested only in the natural world, the real world, where we may have all the precautions, all the philosophies, all the guidance, everything we may have. But psychological world alone, you have to turn your back. So you should not face it.
So what is the importance of even coming to satsang again? Like if it's this understanding is there, and there is the only problem that is the doubt that it might not be there, and this is the interference, and just need to let it go. Then even the decision to come to satsang again in order to I don't know, remove doubt or reinforce this understanding is another enforcement of this doubt in a sense.
So here we have just like an academic interest, we can have some satsang, but we did not create any philosophy through satsang. And for the beginners, we can inquire in all ways, and after the inquiry and finding out there is no way, there is no work in the psychological world, then there is no need of satsang itself. Because we give total freedom to that, whatever is happening in the psychological world, let it be. But afterwards, you will not attend the satsang to get something. So just you may enjoy the satsang without expecting anything psychological. So you may have a different kind of satsang.
External world, and at some point when the mind is not being is not taken for serious, like for what the thinking is saying, then the action in the world is what is more appropriate, or what is, in a sense, it feels like there is much more conformity to the society or to everything that, because I myself have no real like or dislikes, and then it seems like it doesn't really matter how I act. So why don't I act in a way which is make less problem to the society, even if, I don't know, either something in the person that has some preference. For example, having a family. The society says it's common to have a family, but is the fact that here there is no there is no need for it, but with this understanding there is like this, the like and dislike and the pulling of the mind doesn't really matter, then even it will lead towards conformity of what the society needs. Understand my question?
So what is the relationship between the understanding and the society, you mean?
Yes, and either because there is some sense of conformity because of that.
Conformity in what respect?
To do what the society wants or what is appropriate in relation to the world, rather than have something that you I don't know.
Actually, society is a business place. We give something and get something in return. So that is, we have common existence. We share with you have something and you give the other. You get out of that. You get something from the others. So you share something. Here, psychologically, we need not attain anything. So psychologically, when you are free, your requirements are also very limited. You don't have any much more thing you need. But here, so if you have some family around you, you have to do work a lot, because not for yourself, you have to work for the family itself. And for your family, you have to work some work. Then only the necessity arises. Otherwise, your necessity will be very limited. If you do not have any family for you, your requirements are very limited. So your relationship with the society will all be very limited. So you will have it is the good to each and everybody is to have a family. Then only you will have the requirement. Then you have the requirement and then you can relate with other people. Some relationship is possible. So if you don't have any family, our requirements are very, very limited. So we'll be separated from the society itself. So basically we will be in a position to set up a small family. Then only the relationship will be good in a society. And as we have some requirement, we have to work. So the work is there and some movement is there in the society. So everything is interrelated. So that is also a part of the society. So there is the social, in the case of social order and social living, this type of society will have it will create some requirement and all. And their wants or their requirements are very limited. So in that time, there are many arts. Arts have been developed. So because of no work, when there is no work, they will involve the creators of many arts on artistic way. They will spend the time through arts. So that is the period for development of art. And artistic development is possible when we have some leisure. So in the time of leisure, what we have to do here? Because we have to spend our time through so many arts. And that is the reason for the development of arts. But nowadays, arts are, even though we are creating some art, we are creating only for a commercial basis, not in the real basis. But in the olden days, they will have some artistic approach only to recreate himself, only for their real life, not for a commercial reason. But for the economical reason, we have to do work, some work. But if the requirement has been satisfied, then but if you are limited with our requirements, the requirements are also very limited. And when we are having the limited requirements, and the spare time we can use only through artistic way.
I understand what you're saying. I'm still have this question in my mind. Maybe it's not important, when the time comes and see how it unfolds, but it seems like there is these preferences that exist become so much not important because the act in the world become what is required rather than what is preferred. Then there is a loss of every. Why those preferences are there, in a sense?
Preference means what? Why you preference? Why you use the word preference? Preference from what?
Prefer can be some desire. I don't know. I prefer to have a relationship with women. Some people prefer relationship with men. I don't know. So there is a preference, and there is society which says differently. And the question here is, do you give away your preference because it doesn't really important when you act in the world, because it will make less problem let's say, because it make more harmony, and then you lose something that built in yourself.
Social society is concerned, we will have some orderly society, orderly life that we have to have. And then only everything will be in a peaceful condition, with some order. So we have to follow the order and we can make the order prevail everywhere. Some orderly life, some way we can have a calm and undisturbed life. So whatever may be the way of life, but some order must be there. Then only some peaceful atmosphere in the society. But the order should not, we should not expect any orders in the psychological world.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to create some order in the world, the living. And
so if I live in a surrounding of everyone are religious people and going to a church or temple or something and expect me to do that, it feels that he suggests that I should conform to this and do the same, even though I have no belief, don't really.
But here, going to church or anything, but if everybody is in the position of understanding, no, because going to church and praying is a personal matter. It is related to the psychological world. But at the same time, the ceremony or anything may be social. But the real interest, real relationship with the thing is only purely psychological. So the person who are many, the person who are understanding, having understanding or many, they will not impose such kind of things. But going to work for an office or anything is different. That is purely social, economical. And for the economical and social, we can create some order. But it is the religions are only for relation to the psychological world. They are doing church, going to a church and praying something only for the psychological well-being. And but at the same time, for example, if you are near a family and most of the persons of your family are regularly going to the church, and to give company to them, you may also have to go to the church. But to give company to them, but for yourself, there is no necessity for yourself. You are not got anything out of the going to the church. But you are all right. But going to the church implies when you go to the church and pray something, then you will be all right psychologically. For the psychological well-being alone, everybody is going to the church and doing some prayers. But it is only for the beginners. But if you go in the beginning, you may go to the church and afterwards you realize you are all right psychologically, then there is no necessity for yourself. But at the same time, as you can give company to your family members. Because they may also get the benefit out of going to the church. But it may be a correct beginning. For in the beginning, it may be a good one. So you can encourage. And as an mark of encouragement, you may also give company to them. But for yourself, it is not necessary. But at the same time, going to the office, going to attend some economical work, that is different. That we have to do. For the necessary requirements, you have to attend your work and do a job. You can yourself create some company or anything. Thereby you can earn something. So the earning is different. That you have to have some economical stabilization. Then only you can live in this world. And for that we can give support to the family members and everything. And we have some arrangement for that. But whatever we do, we have to have correct relationship with our mind to the work. So the connecting our mind to the work is a kind of meditation. So that when we understand psychologically and know what is the psychological world, the entire world, the entire living in this world become another kind of meditation. So that is the real meditation. That meditation will never end. You can endlessly, you can do all your work in the kind of meditation.
Continue this question, even during the course of my journey, in the beginning stages and all, I was more like a rebel. I will not accept what other people say or what the society expects. So I used to have my own idea and my own way of life, and sometimes it will coincide, and sometimes if it doesn't coincide, I will not bother about the society. It is my way, and I want to do this. I want to be like this. So, but after this understanding, I find a lot of harmony between the way I relate with the society. Previously, I used to rebel. Even if my father says something or my mother says, no, I will do only this way, because this is my idea, and I'm an individual, and I want to do this way. I want to function this way. So that way I used to be. But now I'm able to have a harmonious relationship with my own family members and and whatever is good and reasonable in the society, I'm able to completely embrace it and accept it. So, and I also feel that this understanding actually helps us to be very harmonious. Ayya. Your thoughts on that?
So, for example, you are very hungry and you want to go to a restaurant, and your friends are there. They select one restaurant and you select one restaurant because you are interested upon the quality of the meals and everything in a particular restaurant, and you are accustomed to have the food in that restaurant. It will be nice. So you are very adamant to go to the restaurant on your own choice. Finally you may go to a restaurant and I will go to my restaurant. Then you give back to the other person. So the other time you have already finished your food and no hungry is there. And your friends want to have some food, and they want to go to a restaurant, and they also ask you to accompany them. Then you can give company. No food is necessary for you, are already completed the food. So you can give company to anybody. So that when the understanding is over, then you can give company to anyone. So when yourself is searching, then you will select your own particular way of searching. So then you may doubt the other ways, the other school of thought, and you may select a particular way for your convenience and what kind of philosophy can suit with your requirement. That you can select. But if your journey is over, then you can give company to anybody.
Yes. Thank you.
For beliefs, even though you know that beliefs are only beliefs, only concept, but it seems that everyone has its own beliefs, and so otherwise we will not function in the world. For functioning in the world, you need to do it according to some kind of standard values, beliefs that you have. And this change within time. So, do you see important in adopting some belief for the external world?
So, even though we are giving importance to the belief, we are giving importance to the belief for some other reason. We are around the belief, we will have some reason. Then only we will get the belief. Otherwise, we won't have any belief. Even though we have the support of belief, for some reason alone, we have around the belief, we will have some reason. Then only we will give importance to the belief. So, each and for example, each and every moment we cannot inquire.
Sorry?
Each and every time and every moment we cannot inquire. For example, you may go take this road and find out that it will reach Amanashram. You may find for the first time. In the next time, you will not have, in each and every time when you take the road, each and every time you will not inquire whether it will go to Ramanashram or not. So once you finish anything, After all the finishing, it will give you a conclusion in your mind. So the conclusion gives you the way. There is no difference between the conclusion and belief. Some belief may, without any reason, we may come to a conclusion, or through some logical reasons we may come to a conclusion. So the conclusion alone gives the way. So for that, the belief may give some support, or your inquiry may give you some support. But afterwards, you will act only with the conclusion. So the conclusion is the thing by which you are doing your activities. So for that, the belief may give you some chance of getting conclusion, or your reasoning may give you some conclusion. The conclusion must be that. So the conclusion, that means conclusion is related to your work or anything. It is related to your work, you will have the conclusion. For the conclusion, you can get the conclusion through some belief or through some reason. But the main thing is that you must have some conclusion.
Not very clear with this
Well,
conclusion.
that-
What do you call a conclusion?
So you are concluded that this road will lead to Ramashram. You may go for yourself, you can find out and you can verify, and you conclude yourself. Then the road will take you to Ramashram. But instead of that, somebody may told you will not have any personal idea about that. But somebody may told you, if you go to this way, it will reach Ramashram. And you believe and come to a conclusion that it will take you to Ramashram, then only you act. So you can act only through some conclusion. Unless you take a conclusion, you cannot act. So the action is important. For that, your conclusion is important. To arriving at a conclusion, your inquiry may give you a support, or your belief may give you a support. Because for yourself, you do not know. Somebody may say it will lead to Ramashram, and you believe upon his words, it may be correct. And you select the way by concluding a decision. And you take. But afterwards, the next time, you yourself find out and verify the thing, and afterwards you can have a conclusion. So the main thing is that we must have some conclusion to act. That is common to the reasoning and the belief.
And it's not possible that someone else will reach different conclusion and it will create conflict. Because otherwise will not, you don't call it a conclusion, you call it a belief.
So there are many beliefs, but it is not related to our work. Whenever it is related to our work, before it becomes a work, you have to conclude it, you have to come to a conclusion. Then only it is related to work. So there are many beliefs, they may not be related to your work. So if it is not related to your work, it is you need not worry about this belief or anything. So whenever it is related to our work, we have to come to a conclusion. The conclusion may be logical or reasoning or just belief itself, doesn't matter. So you have to come to a conclusion, then only you can act. If you cannot come to a conclusion, no action is possible.
But these conclusions may change within time.
And may change. So for example, when the person says that this way road go to Ramashram, and when you find out in many ways, you may have another shortcut instead of this, then afterwards you will dismiss the old conclusion and you come to a new conclusion. Instead of taking this road, you can take another shortcut in this way. You may find. But anyway, it has to lead some work. Now, our conclusion was related to work. If it is not related to work, it doesn't matter.
This is similar to even internal world. The same thing. This is similar to even internal world or understanding. So through belief also you can come to understanding, or through inquiry also you can come to understanding and conclude.
Even we will have to come to
Conclusion.
Conclusion must be there.
So it's like on a practical level, we can understand that it doesn't matter which side of the road you drive on. for the actual driving. But if you want to survive, and you're in a country that drives on the left, then you have to drive on the left. Philosophically, it doesn't matter, does it? Driving on the right or the left, different countries. But the practical reason in India, well, India is an exception in some ways. But in India, you would drive on the left. You have more chance of survival. But philosophically, it doesn't matter, does it?
So in that manner, whenever you come to India, you have to change your conclusion.
Not me, because I'm English and we drive on the left. But I think,
After this understanding, I'm able to clearly experience that the more I engage with the real world, I find it to be very, very nourishing, very, very energy giving, and life enhancing. And I'm able to clearly see that it is this unnecessary thinking which drains our energy. But actual activity in the real world, when we are really involved, instead of draining our energy, it actually enhances our energy, and it brings more positivity and more well-being to ourselves and to the society. Few thoughts on that.
Yeah, because you have to attach your psychological structure to the situation. So if you are interested to shaping yourself psychologically, then you cannot be easily attached to the world. So you have to submit yourself to the situation. Your psychological structure must be attached, must be joined to the situation you are facing. But if you yourselves giving your energy to establish yourself, then you cannot easily attach to the situation. So if you are psychologically you are nothing, it is a natural happening or anything, then you can easily move along with the situation. So that is the reason.
We have only one face. We can see in only one direction. So either see inside or outside. We don't have two faces. Fortunately, unfortunately.
Ourselves psychologically, it always brings some resistance to the actual happening. Is that what you mean, Ayya?
Yeah.
We somehow or the other we keep resisting what is happening. We somehow some conflicts or the other we bring to when we face any particular situation, because we try to establish ourselves in the psychological world. But when you don't make any such efforts to establish, then we simply flow into any particular situation and respond according to the needs of the situation. Is that what you mean? Thanks.
There is, because we think that you are looking for some security or stability, then in many teachings they say that don't look for the stability and security outside in this apparent world and everything that changes, but in this timeless, or in this now, in this presence, or that which is always there. But here we say that the only stability is that there is no stability. There is no letting go of this idea of stability or security. Is it right? There is nothing to comfort in a way. Letting go of this idea of there is this comfort.
So here, when you seek security, it itself shows you are insecure. So the very seeking of security, it gives you the insecure status. So if you dismiss this Seeking of security, so you are safe is always. So actually the seeking security is the problem. So whenever we seek security, that means it implies that you are insecure. That's the truth behind the seeking. So when you do not seek anything, you are always all right.
Our understanding.
No, psychologically you are innocent. The innocent people find you're not afraid. The person who is having some knowledge about something is afraid. If you do not have any knowledge about anything, you will become innocent. You will not afraid of anything. He is innocent and lively. Our mind is lively and innocent. Then he is not measuring or afraid of anything. Measurement, only because of measurement alone, we are afraid of something. So, all measurement is related to the external. The external world is concerned, you are measuring something. This is good or bad. That we can measure. Otherwise, we cannot act in this way. But the measuring ourselves with relationship ourselves, what we have to do, what must be our position. So if we say like this, we are measuring ourselves, and we should not measure ourselves. We have to take it as a natural one.
So in the psychological world, we need not look for any safety or security. We can simply allow it to happen on its own. But in the real world, we can look for safety, security, and comfort.
Psychologically, if we measure anything, then we will select something. The selection, measuring. When there is no measuring, there is no selection, we are in the innocent state. The innocence will not have any fear or problem.
Only when we bring some knowledge that this is how it should be, this should not be like this, then
we are creating problem. So the innocent state will not have any problem.
That's what Jesus meant when he said, "Be like little children." Yeah, like babies, before the.
So all that pertains to the psychological aspect.
Yeah.
Security, but there is never really any real security, is there? We could go to war at any moment or anything. We look at what's happening in the world.
So externally we have to have some security, but psychologically we have to be natural.
Yeah.
Natural is innocence.
In our understanding, our intellect understands its inability to have any control over the psychological happening, and thereby we come to the understanding that we need not do anything as far as the psychological aspect is concerned, and we simply surrender to our own psychological happening. And extending the same thing, I find that whenever I realize my limitation, the limitations of the intellect pertaining to the physical world, I'm able to act with much more humbleness, because I realize that I have certain limitations, and I don't overestimate my ability. I'm able to clearly have a clear estimate of the limitations of my intellect, and I find that the mind and intellect can function within this scope, not beyond this. So all arrogance, all kinds of superiority complex, all that simply gets dropped away, and my efforts happen on its own without this idea of arrogance. So is that a right way of looking at it?
Because the situation requires some change or modification or anything, and that situation makes you act like that and to correct the situation through you and you becomes a part of the situation. And you can easily become the part of the situation if you do not have any other work within yourself. If you have any separate work within yourself, you cannot be the part of the situation.
Exactly.
So you simply become the part of the situation, as you have no other work within you. So for example, if you say something and I thinking some other thing, I cannot take part in your question or anything. So if you don't have anything within myself, and I can easily understand, I can take part of your conversation. So in this way, whenever we have no psychology or separate business for I can easily become one with the situation. So when I can one with the situation, some real connection we have. I can really connect. I can connect with the situation. The real connection is possible when we have a separate issue on my own. So I can easily connect with the situation. Then only we can discharge the situation in a good way. We can attend the situation in a good way and we can create a good result out of the situation.
Then we are able to really contribute to any particular situation.
Yeah.
So even if you want to attend to something in the external world and there is some mind activity, thoughts which are irrelevant, and the very fact that I know that I have nothing to do about it psychologically, remove the conflict and allow me more easy to attend to whatever I need.
Yeah.
In a sense.
The external situation we can have to easily attend the external world.
But it seems that at the moment it's not so easy to attend because of this conflict inside.
If we have conflict inside, we may find it difficult to attend the work.
Right, but can there be a conflict inside that I know that there is nothing to do, or the fact that there is conflict means that I think there is a...
So when we understand no work is needed here, but the work is needed only in the external world, if you don't mind some psychological happening may be there. It may going on like this, but if you don't give weight to give our attention to that, naturally it will subside. You need not make any effort to subside the psychological wandering or anything. For example, your friend is suffering in a financial loss, and you give some money to your friend to stabilize the business. And he got the business stabilized with the help of your money. And one day he wants to thank you. Because of your help alone, he established the business in a proper way. So he wants to thank you, and whenever he comes to your house, you are typing in the computer to send some mail. You are in the typing situation. And whenever he enters, he stops the typing and give here to him, and he listens to the Thanksgiving matter. But he is not stopping, he is endlessly thanking him. You can hear him, he is not disturbing you, but he is giving encouraging words, giving some good words. You can stop the typewriting and give him total listening. But he is endlessly thanking you. So whenever he becomes endlessly doing like this, then you give one here to him. So in this way, if our mind is endlessly chatting and doing some mischief, just by giving ear to that, one ear to that, you can do your work.
unfair when things are unsettled to turn the face. So we think we will turn the face outside. Once we settle everything and keep it right, then we will turn the face. It's very unfair to turn the face. But we have to turn the face when it is unsettled only. When it's unsettled, when everything is chaos, not, as I said, not fresh, conflict, everything is there. In spite of that, we have to turn. It's very difficult because inside the house it's burning, but you are going and helping others outside. But we have to understand this is house itself will rectify the fire, everything. Once everything is said, then I will turn my face outside, it will never happen. That's why intellectually it's feel very unfair and logically incorrect. So this is more important. And when this is unsettled, how can I go and settle outside things? First, this has to be settled. This is more important. And we are feeling very near to this. This is unsettled, so that's very logically unfair. That's why again logic says, let me settle this one, then let me go there.
There is no necessity to settle. Sometimes it may happen like this endlessly. For example, we may have some noise around this house and we may try to be here without the circumstances noise. But when the noise is existing like this, we have no business like this, and we can, along with the noise, we can have the understanding to do our work. So in this way, we can neglect the happening. So, but the correction, but at the same time, but in the psychological is concerned, if you are able to do without the help of the psychological salvation or anything, it will solve it. In the course of time, we can find the psychological salvation also will happen like this. But in the external world is concerned, the outside noise may not be settled, but the psychological noise will be settled very soon if you do not mind it.
For many of us Westerners, India itself is the biggest teacher. Seriously, because we have kind of ideas of how things should be. And in India, if you can't adapt to what is, not what you think should be, then it's impossible to kind of be here. So in that way, apart from the Indian philosophy, India itself is the biggest teacher. Really, for me, 20 years or more of driving a motorbike in India, that alone is a fantastic teaching.
If you follow the rule, you will get accident.
Yeah, you have to adapt to what is. A bus can be coming here.
No philosophy.
No philosophy. Yeah.
That's the problem of India. They have applied the internal rule to the external also.
What of you?
That there is no internal work to be done. We stop getting preoccupied with ourselves and we are able to truly live life each moment as it unfolds. We are able to really live life. I'm able to clearly see now that you have been telling that enlightenment and liberation is not the end of life, it is the beginning of life. So in this context, I'm able to clearly see that once there is nothing to be done internally, we are able to completely direct all our attention to what is presented in front of us, and we are able to really live life each moment as it unfolds. Is that why you say that, Ayya? That
No.
Somebody endlessly praising you. It happened to you.
Praising me?
praising you when you are typing generously. A real incident that happened to you?
Not like that. Sometimes might be like this.
How you are able to get
But
that?
not always.
Good example.
Interest in what the thinking process has to say, it means that subtly there's belief that there's something to do about it. Because otherwise the interest is just be lost. Or maybe we should look at it as also kind of happening.
So,
Whether interest is or not.
there are many things happening in our mind. All things are not related to our understanding. Understanding is something. Understanding means very any conscious work are there. But unconsciously, we cannot, the unconscious happening is not under the control of our conscious doing. So, we come to a conclusion, there should not be any conscious doing in the psychological world. So, unconsciously, many things may happen. Some endless chattering may be there, some thought may be there, some emotion may be there. Everything may happen unconsciously. But here, consciously, we come to a conclusion, there is no conscious work. So, conscious work, we will have some conscious work when we decide something. So, consciously we decided that no work is there. So, we will not change the decision, we will not change the conclusion. So, as we have not changed the conclusion and decision, there is no conscious struggle within ourselves. But unconscious struggle may be there.
So even the decision of, okay, when the conscious, there was some interest in chattering in the mind, even related to this understanding or this, whatever, this teaching. And then I became conscious of it and the interest I have in it. Even the decision to lose interest in it now.
So sometimes maybe a crucial factor. Sometimes maybe will not be very serious. So we may consciously give importance to that. So it does not matter that we are against our understanding. So sometimes even some unnecessary things may be there. It is not a crucial matter. So when it is not very crucial, it is not a deciding matter. So we may consciously may also give some weight to the resistance or anything. So that will not be a matter.
Does not be matter means
That means you are not changing the understanding. So we are not changing the understanding that, so we have some work.
yeah,
We are not
the understanding is very clear and there is no doubt about the understanding.
When there is no doubt about the understanding, then afterwards, whatever happened, let it happen.
Whether it happened according to understanding or not according to understanding.
Whenever you willfully transfer, whenever dismiss the understanding by some way or other, by some other reason, so this is not correct, and there are many schools of thought that we have some work, then you consciously dismiss the understanding, then only you are consciously against you. Otherwise, even though you are forgotten the understanding, does not mean that you are against the understanding. But if you are consciously dismiss the understanding, this understanding is not correct. So we have to work psychologically, then only everything will be all right. Then you will change the understanding like this, then only we will have the different kind of idea. Otherwise, even though you forgotten the understanding, it doesn't matter.
But even this is to apply the understanding. Even if consciously I say, okay, so I lose interest in it, because suddenly I'm conscious about this understanding is...
So naturally the understanding will come to your help. when it is needed, it will come. Even though you forgotten the understanding, it will come to your help.
So I
Whenever
need
it
to
is
consider it as, even though I do it consciously, I need to consider it as unconscious doing. This suddenly applying the understanding. It's it should be considered as unconscious happening.
Whatever happens in the psychological world, we have to take it as unconscious happening. But the same time, the understanding will help. The understanding will say that everything is happening unconsciously. That's the role of the understanding. The role of the understanding alone says everything is happening unconsciously. Even though your conscious part is there, the understanding will tell you that even though we have some contribution for ourselves, it is a happening. So in psychological world, whatever is there, everything is unconscious. Even though it looks conscious, it is also considered as unconscious.
So even the idea to change it is part of the unconscious, isn't it? Because that's part of the mind.
Part of the mind means?
But it's only the mind that wants to stop getting involved in the mind. It's a part of the same process. So even wanting to change what's going on in the internal dialogue is part of the unconscious.
No, part of the unconscious.
Yeah, it's not. So in one way there is no conscious.
So here, even though you do something consciously also, it can be also, it also can be considered as the unconscious.
Yeah, exactly.
Psychological
Because yeah.
Extending that our conversation, our conscious doing has meaning and significance only when it is connected to the external world. Otherwise, it has got no significance. It can be simply considered as a happening. It is the psychological world which is created by the me entity. That is Maya. But this real world is, the natural world is very much real. But over the centuries, it has been told that the world as such is Maya. Why such a confusion in the approach here, which has led to so many kinds of other complications.
So here, through the word Maya, they mean only the psychological world, not the physical world. Even though they mean the physical world, nobody will accept. when you are angry, if you say it is a Maya, it is not real, nobody will accept. I will see later, please give me food first. You will demand first food, and afterwards you will look at the philosophy. So nobody will accept. But the psychological way alone, the real meaning is only the psychological world, not the physical thing.
But considering the real world to be Maya, so many people have renounced, have become sannyasins, have left their families, went in search, went to the forest or to the Himalayas. So all that has happened. The great misunderstanding has happened to the extent that they have renounced that which is real, and they have embraced that which is unreal, and that seems to be such a great kind of a disaster.
So if it is an unreal world, then we have to renounce.
Exactly.
Don't be
afraid of that.
Exactly.
In the very act of renouncing itself, they think that it is real. The source it is real. Then only they are afraid of the real world.
Exactly.
If it is unreal, then why should we be afraid? If real, we have to be afraid of that. But if it is unreal,
This is exactly the great Zen masters also tell. They question the Indian approach, Indian sannyasins. When it is unreal, then why are you running away from it?
Oh, somebody is real, but it is convenient to be in a ascetic world, then only we can have some more time to devote here. For that, preliminary arrangement we can have like this. But entire life we have to be a sannyasi, that is not necessary. But psychologically, giving up everything is the real sannyas. Psychologically, if you put down the psychological world, this is a real sannyas. But in that manner, everybody in the real world, everybody must be a sannyas, then only we can enter the real world.
Fantastic.
Before entering to the real world, we have to
Take up sannyas.
Then only we can enter the real world. So that is common to all.
They go to the extent this world is projection, this very wall, everything is unreal. Many times I tried to enter this wall, but I got hurt.
But at the same time, from quantum physics point of view, it is all unreal, isn't it? From the point if you go into the microscopic, then matter doesn't exist.
Everything is made up of energy.
It's just made up of energy, yeah.
But they are not saying in that manner. They are
Exactly,
in a different way.
It's the site,
They are not using the science. They are in a different way. They are.
Because if I just to kind of, it's that only the psychological world that really gives a sense of me. Without the psychological world, there is no idea of a me separate from everything else. That's it, really. It's just so simple. But then it takes out the whole business of spirituality, doesn't it? If you see that, then it's already the case here and now. There is nothing to get.
So nothing to get only in the external world is concerned, it is meaningless. But nothing to get is psychologically.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Spiritually, yeah.
Is the sense of separation something that still exists, or this understanding bring to the end of the sense of separation because it's only psychological?
So psychological separation, unless we can feel the separation, we cannot act. So separation is a must. Then only we can act, we can transact. So unless we can, for example, when we walk along the road, unless you differentiate yourself from the vehicle, you cannot escape. So you have to do something. Unless you have to take some food, you have to differentiate yourself and the food. Then only you can take food. So you can, if you do not separate the food from you, what we can do? Nothing is possible. So the separation is a must. But at the same time, psychologically we distinguish something. Psychologically everything is a dream world. In the dream world some thought is there. In the thought it may appear to be different. For example, in the dream there may be several persons. In that, among the several persons you will be there. But at the same time totally it is one single fragment of thought. The total is a dream. In that dream, some several characters may be there. Among the several characters, you may be one among them. But in the external world, it is different. It is really you are separate from the other people. But in the psychological world, you are not separate from the other persons of the dream world. So the dream world is one, and you are part of the dream, and everybody is a part of the dream. There is no separation in the psychological world. So when we psychologically we differentiate ourselves. I am free, I must be free from sorrow, I must be free from fear, I must be always keep myself in a pleasurable state. So then only we are dividing ourselves psychologically. So psychological division must be gone. So physically we have to keep ourselves apart from the other people, other things, then only you can act. Otherwise, no action is possible.
The moment seen as a dream, the psychological aspect, and seeing all the conflict inside there, but being very detached of it because you see this is just an imagination, just a dream, then the conflict may still be there. Just you treat it as if it was a dream.
So here, when we don't do anything, that means when we do not give importance to anything, so we give total freedom to everything. Whenever we give freedom to everything, it will blossom. It will blossom and go down away. So whenever we have some restriction of something, the restriction means we are giving some pressure. When we press something, it will take some shape or problem because of some pressure. So if you give freedom to everything, everything will disperse, everything will dismiss. So only because of some restriction. So here psychological world is concerned, we have to give total freedom to everything. So the freedom alone is the only thing, thereby everything will blossom and disappear. Whenever we catch hold of something and give pressure to something, it will become strengthened.
Then if we think we shouldn't be doing that, it's even more strengthened. Isn't it like that? That if we get caught up in something psychologically, but then we think that that is wrong, then we're even more caught up. Do you understand?
Even the non-doing, as
Yeah.
a doing is wrong one.
Yeah, it's kind of just,
Non-
sometimes if we get caught up, then that's okay as well, and then it just changes.
செய்யக்கூடாதுன்னு நினைச்சா கூட அதுவும் ஒரு செயலாகிடுது.
So whatever
Yeah.
positive assessment, here no work.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever happening,
Yeah,
let it be happening. There should not be any doing. Whatever is happening, psychological is concerned, everything must be happening. There is no doing.
yeah.
Even though it may look like a doing, but it also can be considered as a happening.
Yeah. It's actually so close to the Tao Te Ching. You know Lao Tzu?
Lao Tse?
Lao Tse, yeah.
Oh.
Book of Lao Tse, this teaching is totally in conformity with. Have you read Lao Tse?
Not here, a little bit here and there.
Yeah. It's very much, he's saying exactly the same thing, but in a different. It's not the eternal Tao, but it's very much about letting go, about the waterway.
Yeah. They just described the attributes and properties of the liberation, but this is what we have to do is nothing to do with liberation, with enlightenment, understanding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even though it looks similar, it's a vast differences there. So you don't go on till the attributes of liberation. What happens is you try to attain that.
Yeah.
So our focus should not be liberation. Our focus should be enlightenment. So this understanding will put into liberation.
But you need the understanding to really see the Tao Te Ching for what it is, as well. Because in the way it is just describing the liberated state.
Because they don't have two process, two steps: enlightenment and liberation. There's two steps. Enlightenment is intellectual understanding. Liberation is what's happening.
Yeah.
So they are only describing what's happening, and they don't have this step.
No, because he was speaking from that
He's
enlightened
speaking
state.
exactly.
Yeah. So there was, but that's the misunderstanding, I think, sometimes. But the understanding, I mean, it's something that either comes or it doesn't come. Like for you, when you had this understanding, how did it happen? Was it through frustration or?
For me, I have done meditation or anything.
Yeah.
I got some bliss consciousness, and previously I thought bliss consciousness is the end. So I worked for that. At one time we got the bliss consciousness, and it comes and goes, it never goes from me, and it is always the bliss consciousness. Whenever I have bliss consciousness forever, then only I know what is the status of the bliss consciousness. So, just like the other feeling, when it beyond it exists more than a prescribed limit, it begins to destroy the health of the body.
Right,
Then only I came to a doubt, when if it gives some problem to our body and mind, so it cannot be the reality. So whenever I try to find something more than beyond the bliss consciousness, then only I doubt the existence of the mind itself.
Right.
Then, so in that way, I have to go away from the grip of the mind.
Into what Ramana
So here, when afterwards I understand, the giving freedom to the mind alone is the real thing we have to do. So here, when we give freedom to the mind, that means whatever comes in the mind, we don't mind the happening of the mind.
And that is what Ramana calls the natural state.
Natural.
Yeah. But that happening for you, in a way, it was spontaneous.
Somebody may got the state through many failures. Because of the failure, they do not know what to do, and when they are in a position not to do anything, then they feel the natural functioning of the mind. Because they do not have anything work on their part. When they do not have any work on their part, they witness the natural happening of our mind, natural flowing of our mind. So in many ways it will happen like this.
So it's a giving up, but nobody is giving it up.
So most of them, the liberation happened because of failure. For you, it happened because of success of
Attaining bliss consciousness.
When he got rejected, I didn't get this consciousness and got liberated.
But every time, for everybody, it seemed unique. Unique in the way that it happened. Like Buddha had one, he discovered it through failure, if you like.
But the discovery may be different, but the result is same.
Exactly,
Because the accepting the natural happening of the mind is same to all the cases.
No, I see that very clearly, because when you understand this, then you can see any scripture and understand it immediately. In a way, because you know.
But here, when we understand the role of the mind, role of the effort, then we can understand very easily. Because we are logically, we understand, we are inquired, then we can logically understand there is no work on our part. So in that respect, very easily we can come. Otherwise, the many people, many masters came, unknowingly come to that state.
But because I know what you're saying is true, but the not doing anything is the most difficult thing in the world, really. It happened for you because you'd already attained this bliss consciousness and you saw through it. But for most people, the not doing is the most difficult thing in the world, isn't it?
So here, not doing happens when we do not expect anything. Whenever we expect something, the expectation makes you do something. Whenever you don't expect anything, when you do not treat anything as the highest thing or lowest thing, then we will have some duty. So here, when I understand nothing to be attained, so nothing to do also. So here the main thing is that we have to find nothing to be attained. So that is the main thing. So now, if you want to keep yourself without not doing anything, then it is I will create another work. So
exactly. So it's very subtle.
So that means if you select something to do in the psychological world, something to attain in the psychological world, then only it creates some doing in the
then it becomes a technique. It's like choiceless awareness. Krishnamurti is a result, not a technique. Isn't it the same?
But the understanding is that we have nothing to attain, nothing to remove. So the very understanding will not non-doing, thereby the non-doing will happen.
On-doing should be a flowering of that understanding.
Yeah.
So it should be fruit reaping.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a technique.
It's not an action
Yeah.
again. Which is the most difficult action, as you said.
No, yeah.
At least action is
Because you can't do it, it can happen. This is my conclusion anyway.
Yeah.
It can happen, but there's nobody that can do it.